of today's Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition. A very warm welcome. I'm Chrissy Weiss, and I'm very happy to have you here with us on a very hot, sweaty summer day in Stuttgart, Germany. We're looking forward to have a e-racing competition at its best. It's the museum special live here at the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart, the hometown of Mercedes-Benz. We're going to see some really high-class virtual motorsports, and the virtual car the guys are driving today has been a racing car for real once. Let's have a look.
Hier geht Deutschlands schnellste Post ab. Das Kürzel DTM steht für die spannendste, hochwertigste und publicity-trächtigste Rennserie des Kontinents. Willkommen zur Show.
Eine gewaltige Kollision.
Mercedes 190 E 2,5, 16 Evolution römisch 2.
Sie sehen, wie sich Kreuzpointer mit einem Fechtsprung aus dem Auto rettet. Hauptschiebteam raus, das gibt richtigen Ärger, liebe Freunde.
Die erste Frau, die jemals einen Lauf zur deutschen Tourenwagenmeisterschaft gewonnen hat. Eleanor, dein Applaus.
Well, scientists are calling it the sun. It's a big, glowing ball of energy thrashing down heat onto us here in the cradle of the automobile live in Stuttgart. Welcome to the museum special of the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition live in a very different environment, believe you me, than a lot of these races. And indeed, I guess us two are used to. I'm James Kirk, and here with me alongside is Rob Wiesenmuller. And well, Rob, I think I've said as much. A lot of these racers are used to racing against each other. A lot of these racers are used to racing indoors. It's not so often that we come out into the lovely open outdoors to do this type of event. Very exciting for all involved.
Yeah, hey James. Hello everyone here in the museum, and hello everyone who's watching online from home. Yeah, it's almost conditions like in a real race car because the sun is burning down on us here. Everyone's sweating now, but they will sweat even more when we come to the race session, because we are here for the museum special of the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition, and the winner of the race today will secure his ticket for the final, for the DTM race at Hockenheim, where the winner will compete against 5 other e-racers and against 6 Mercedes-AMG DTM drivers. So a lot is at stake, and we will see who comes out on top here at the Hockenheim ring.
It's a very exciting opportunity indeed. It's the first time in the AMG e-racing competition's history that we've had such a unique event for effectively a wild card driver to join the lineup after league play, of course, season 3 out of 3 now. Very exciting times, and you may have noticed perhaps that we've been blessed with a bit of shade to take some of the heat off us. The drivers have had that in a 30-minute free practice session. But when it comes to qualifying, when it comes to the racing, when all is on the line, they will not have that extra element. Yeah. Well, rather, they're going to have the extra element of the heat directly coming down onto them. And racers, I think a lot of people don't really understand when it comes to using a steering wheel and a pedals. Racers do get very sweaty anyway.
Yeah.
And now they've got this to deal with. What do you think might be playing on the mind? Do they have to concentrate even harder than usual? Or is it just you've got to take it as it is, since this is a first time out in the sun for a lot of these drivers.
I mean, of course, when you compete in a LAN event anyway, you have to deal with the different equipment. Everyone's racing here on equal RaceRoom simulator, so you have to adapt to that. You only have a very short time. So the schedule today is we are already in the practice session. We will have 10-minute qualifying and then a 20-minute race, and that's it. So a very limited amount of time. And now also with the heat, it could be very difficult for the drivers to perform in these conditions.
And what a car to do it with as well. Big thanks to Chrissy for introducing it. The 190 Evo 2. From 1992, we've already had 2 races in league play with this car, both of which were very entertaining indeed. We had one race which was dominated by Julian Kunze, who was our one-time championship leader in league play. We also had a race where we had a pole sitter who didn't go on to win the race. So Jack Keithley, a hugely big figure in the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition, he was overtaken by Andika Rama-Malana, a rookie for the season. And so we know this car has got so much potential to give us a great race from all these drivers, but one of these guys who will know a lot about this car already is Tim Hyneman, our 2 times Merc champion.
Yeah, we've got an exciting field here, and what can be said about this competition is that all these drivers, they did not qualify online, but they qualified here in the museum. And for all the people here in the stands, maybe you were there on the first floor where the RaceRoom simulators were built up. So we had 6 weeks of qualifying directly in the museum, and we had over 5,000 drivers trying to qualify for the event. And Tim Hyneman was the fastest driver in pre-qualifying, and we've got 8 e-racers here now with us for the for this round. And let's see if anyone can challenge him. Maybe it's Christian Vittoris, the 9th driver, the VIP.
Yeah, absolutely. You may notice, I'm sure you'll, the shade, it's, look there, if I go down, I can have a look at you under there. But yeah, I'm actually really excited about Christian Vittoris, a winner in the DTM back in 2014. Definitely one of the more successful drivers to be coming onto the virtual scene. But Rob, we've seen so many times before, taking that step from real racing to virtual racing, it actually turns out more often than not to be more difficult than vice versa. You lose a lot of the feel, and that's definitely a common theme across all real-life drivers I've talked to. What realistically are our expectations for Christian Vittoris in this event?
Well, I think fighting for the win could be difficult, as we see the first in-game pictures here. We're driving on the virtual Hockenheim ring. We've got the real museum there on the left side, and then our virtual race, the e-race, on the right side of your screen at the moment. So I think fighting for the win or for a podium could be a bit difficult, but we've seen some good results from some of the other drivers, especially Dani Roncadea and Lucas Auer in the past. So let's see how Christian Vittoris can adapt, and let's see if he can maybe challenge the fastest sim racers and go for maybe top 5.
Well, anything can happen in a race as well, and certainly the Hockenheim ring has one of, in my opinion, one of the most difficult corners to navigate on a first lap, the Nordkurve. It's so fast, but also so tight at the same time that more often than not, you see an incident happening there. Of course, us as casters, we don't want to see incidents happen in a race. We want to see just pure racing at its best.
Here we can just see Klaus Ludwig. He was the champion in 1992, by the way. And you can also see the track map of the Hockenheim ring. They used a slightly different configuration back in 1992. They had the long straights, of course, and since the early 2000s, they changed the track layout quite a bit. But they also ran the short layout, and Ellen Lohr, who was here in the museum earlier, she won her first and only DTM race as the only woman to ever win a DTM race.
And one thing that a lot of these drivers, of course, might be used to with modern Hockenheim, which we won't be having here, is DRS. And, of course, in these older cars, I mean, these cars wouldn't have imagined DRS as even a conceivable possibility back in 1992. So a lot of these guys are going to be relying on natural slipstream. It's going to be racing at its hardest, at its best, and we are looking very forward to it.
Yeah. So we're going into the qualifying session now, and here you can see the list of drivers. So we have a full overview. Tim Hyneman with the car with the start number 1, and the little edge at the end of the name that signals the color of the stripe above the windshield. So you can tell these cars apart. If you're looking very closely, you can see, so Tim Hyneman, Andreas Rinke, He's in the car with the number 3, the one that Klaus Ludwig drove. Christian Vitoris, the former DTM race winner in the car with the number 4. Number 5, Sascha Gemeinhardt. He's very experienced. He was last year in the final of the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition as part of the Games World Rookie competition. So let's see how well he can do. He's very experienced at LAN events. Marcel Torno, completely new driver to the competition, qualified here in the museum. Then we've got Mark Prinzing from VP Gaming, from an esports team. He's looking very competitive as well. Daniel Frommelt in the car with the number 12. Car number 17, Tin Chin Shu. And then in the car with the number 18 is Chris Frommelt, the brother of Daniel Frommelt.
Of course, we've seen brothers in esports before, but what I like about this field is that it's a lot of new people to the Mercedes-AMG racing competition. So often now we have a set grid. And okay, you'll have your odd driver that'll come in and really upset the apple cart, so to speak, much like Andika Ramamalana in league play. But for a lot of these drivers, I'm hoping that we'll see them transition over from this museum event to maybe see them as we head into the second half of the season as well. 10 minutes of qualifying, by the way, and it's a little bit different from regular qualifying where you'd usually see the timer go to 0 and then you can complete the rest of the lap and everything. Not going to be happening here. Once that timer hits 0, that's your lot, and so drivers have to keep that in mind as they look to set that time, which will hopefully put them onto provisional pole position.
Yeah, we are on board with Tim Hyneman now, who's the first driver to start his flying lap, and he's already completed the first sector of the virtual Hockenheimring here in RaceRoom. It's now heading down the long straight. It's not really a straight because it's curved just a little bit to the left. You can see a lot of drivers going actually onto this curve to even save the tiniest amount of time to set a faster lap time. I think Tim is avoiding the curve at the moment. And now a very, very hard braking zone in the hairpin here. Brakes extremely late. Not sure if he's going to make it, but just slides the car in, goes a little bit too wide over the grass on the inside. It might have cost him a bit of time, but still a decent exit here from the corner. And now we come up to the Mercedes arena. First of all, the fast right-hander here, completely flat out in these cars, but you get a little bit of understeer, carries you out wide, and now hard braking once again. Mercedes Tribune, there you can see it. Coming out, and now the second sector is almost completed over the curve on the inside. Now try not to run too wide here on the exit, because otherwise you will get your lap time invalidated. Nice lines from Hyneman. And this is a good lap so far. Into the Motodrome, coming up to the Sachskurve now. Hard on the brakes, a lot of drivers out braking themselves here in the practice session. Now into the final sector, and on the left side you will see the times appear as the drivers complete their laps in this 10-minute qualifying session.
So around turn 15. And then the Südkurve, the final corner on this track, and our 6 times pole sitter in the eRacing competition's history pops up with a 1:43.4. That is currently 4 seconds faster than Christian Vitoris. And Rob, I'd probably go as far to say that's as competitive a time as you would see in league play.
Yeah, that's a fantastic time, and this is a time that's going to be very difficult to beat for all of the other drivers. Sascha Gemeinhardt slotting in into provisional 2nd place, but he's over a second back because Tim Hyneman, he beat his time from the pre-qualifying session in the museum on his first attempt, and once again he's looking like he is the man to beat.
This is actually very smart, I think, from Tim, because of course he didn't actually start the season, you know, in every season beforehand. So there was the first season, which was just one event, it was one live event, of course. He won that, he's the champion. Then it came to season 2, we moved to a full championship format, as going a little bit wide there was
Mark Prinzing.
Prinzing, yeah. And just staying out of the way, the other car, thankfully. Of course, season 2, we went to a full championship.
Yeah.
There at every single round, won the live final as well. This time, it's been a very different story. He's not been at all the races, and so actually, this might very well be his best chance to secure a spot at that final.
Yeah, of course, we have 5 drivers qualifying online, and we've got the winner of this race qualifying. So if you cannot compete in all the races online, of course, it might be an easier path as well, as it could be for Tim Hyneman. But let's see here the battle already in the qualifying session. Mark Prinzing just about takes the position there against one of the Diebels Alt cars. It could be either Sue or it could be Frommelt, Chris Frommelt actually, who's in the other of these 2 cars. So let's see if Prinzing can actually improve, because the sector times were looking fairly competitive.
Let's see, he comes across the line then. And is that an improvement? It is an improvement within a second of Tim Hyneman. And I want to go as far as saying, if you do get within a second of Hyneman, that's a very respectable effort in itself. That is rivaling pretty much the bottom half of our regular grids that we see.
And Daniel Frommelt, the faster one this time, out of the two Frommelt brothers, he just slots in to third position. So Gemeinhardt down to fourth place. Well, probably not what he was hoping for, as he's one of the guys with more experience.
Well, there is still 4 minutes left, Rob.
Yeah.
So we've still got a couple of laps. And while we're in this lull, as people are still trying to set their best times, I can't see Hyneman being beaten, unfortunately. Let's talk a little bit about our race overtaking opportunities. I mean, we're just coming down to one of the most prevalent overtaking opportunities on track, the hairpin. So easy to say, okay, I'm going to just chuck my car up the inside, move done, nice and simple. But being one of the heaviest braking zones, not just on this track, but on the AMG eRacing calendar in total, it's so easy to mess your braking up and to just launch yourself off the circuit.
Yeah, for sure. And we have this corner there, we have the hairpin, but we also have the Sachskurve, the corner which Marcel Torno, who we see on the screen, is entering now. And this one you can also easily lock up, because these cars, they did not have ABS. So of course also in the simulated version, they do not have an ABS system. So if you just make the tiniest mistake on the brakes, then you can just shoot off. Oh, and Torno goes into the back there of one of the Diebels cars once again.
He's annoyed at that as well. Slow car in the exit. But that's kind of one of the things that you just got to deal with in qualifying. It happens on the real circuits. It happens here as well. You need to create the space, and you have to be careful that some driver just up ahead isn't about to start his qualifying lap.
Let's see if anyone's now still on a qualifying lap, on a potential improvement, or if it's going to stay like this, because Tim Hyneman, he's currently on the provisional pole position, followed by Marc Prinzing and Daniel Frommelt. And we have to take a look at Christian Vitores, because it's not going so well for our DTM race winner. He's currently in 9th position.
A full second behind 8th. You would hope, Rob, that he would at least get a little bit closer to 8th position. But it's case in point.
Yeah.
You can't just go straight from real racing and expect to be some race winner in virtual racing. This is justification, clarification to anyone who isn't convinced yet. Virtual racers are excellent in their own right.
Yeah, and we can see with Tim Hyneman, he's a guy, for example, who's looking to get into real motorsports, who's been testing for the VLN, for example. And of course, the winner of the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition, so of the big final in Hockenheim, will get a driving experience in the AMG sports car, so as close as it gets to a real racing car. And we just have Christian Vitores there being overtaken on the qualifying run. I think he led Torno through, because Torno was also on the personal best. It was not Torno, it was one of the white cars. So probably Frommelt or Prinzing. Let's see if Vitores on his last lap, because he won't get another time, and let's see if he can improve. No, he stays in 9th position.
Which, to some, as I say, Torno actually going up to 6th, Shu as well up to 6th himself, so it's Torno up to 5th, my apologies. To be fair, 9th isn't the worst place to be starting, considering the first corner here. You generally tend to avoid anything that does happen.
Yeah, that's true. The first corner is very, very tight. I mean, you have a bit of room on the exit, of course.
Yeah.
But in general, Hyneman there in the hairpin, sliding his car around, but no one can steal the pole position from him with only 30 seconds left on the clock, so it's very unlikely. Andreas Rinke actually still on the personal best, but he also won't be able to finish the lap. So I think we're set here with our grip with Tim Hyneman on the pole position ahead of Marc Prinzing and Daniel Frommelt.
And of course, since this is an official AMG eRacing competition event, that means he's up to 7 career poles. So he's effectively had a freebie. I can't remember off the top of my head whether that takes him to equal best ever qualifying driver, because I know that Jack Keithley, a long-time rival, of course, of Tim Hyneman, I know that he was up there at the top. I think he was 7 or 8. I'll try and find that out later on. But at the end of the day, Tim Hyneman, dominating qualifying. You can't say it wasn't expected.
Yeah. And now we give over to Chrissy, who has an interview with Christian Vitores.
Yeah, Christian, For a long time, DTM driver for Mercedes-Benz. Now qualifying is done. How's it going? Tell me. Not that good today.
Well, it's very difficult, to be honest. Yeah, congrats to Tim. He did a very good job. I mean, he's like 4 seconds faster than me. So I expect a very long and tough race.
It's the sun. I think it's the weather.
It must be.
Yeah, it must be. So we're not going to miss the start. So I leave you all you guys. Go back into the race. Few seconds to start.
Yes, so the cars are just completing here their outlaps. The AI has taken over and is bringing the cars home safely, and then we will go immediately into the race. We will have no formation lap, and we'll have a standing start. So just a few seconds, and then these cars, these virtual race cars, will go into the race.
I think Christian was lying, Rob. I don't think it's just the heat. Everyone's got to deal with the heat.
Yeah, but he's sitting in the first simulator. He's sitting exactly in the sun.
You're not wrong, actually, to be fair. So out of all of the drivers, he is the most affected. Whilst Chrissy was off doing that interview, I did have a little check of my notes. Hyneman and Keithley now equal on the amount of poles, so they're now equal on 7. Going to be fascinating looking at in the future, and we will give you another reminder at the end of the race, but we have our next round of league play happening in a week's time. So if you're interested in what you've been seeing on this stream, whether that be live or online on Facebook or YouTube, maybe consider tuning in next week. But now we have the museum special race itself, 20 minutes ahead of us. Hyneman's the favourite, but is he going to take it? We're going to find out very shortly as we are off here at the Hockenheim Ring. And it is a good start from Tim Hyneman as well, who goes unchallenged into turn 1 behind. It looks like everyone else is getting through okay. Yeah, they were a little bit slow through there, a couple of avoidances, but they are all through now, heading down towards turn 2, a crucial point on this track. And you know what, Rob? Whoever's in P2, he's keeping up well with Hyneman. I couldn't quite see it as Torno getting squeezed out there for P4. Heading onto the Parabolica then. We're going to be heading through turn 5.
And what a start by Torno. He just shot up. And I think Mark Prinsing, he lost some ground. He dropped back into 3rd position, and now he's under huge pressure by Torno. Has to defend immediately into the first hairpin here on the first lap. Hard on the brakes and a bit of contact there. Prinsing keeps the position as the cars stream down the corner. 3 wide in the background. I think that's Sue who's trying to get the position from Gemeinhardt. Flat out in this corner, and behind him Andreas Rinke, he's looking for the position as well. Once again, 2 wide, hard on the brakes. They slot in, and that's the position for Sue. And Christian Vittoris also has made up 1 position. He passed Chris Frommelt here, moved up into 8th position.
It looks like Rinke did finally get around, going around the outside of the Mercedes arena. A really nice move there from Andreas, as everyone's trying to just settle into their early rhythms to try and get into as good a position as possible to survive, get through the next 18 minutes, whichever way they want to look at it, whether it be positive or negative.
Mistake.
And Andreas going a little bit wide there as well. You do not want to be giving up a position, Rob, as soon as you've just taken it.
No, and Vittoris in the background in the black car, he's smelling an opportunity there. He's coming very close to Sue because Rinke has just got a little bit out of his rhythm as Hyneman completes the first lap ahead of Daniel Frommelt, leading the race with a comfortable margin already.
Prinsing, Torno and Gemeinhardt round out the top 5. But look at this battle outside the top 5, Rob. It's absolutely manic. They're not even fighting over the podium, and they want to try and get as better position as they can as Rinke under heavy fire from Shu there, not able to make the position up, and he's got to be careful because Christian Vittoris, ever the agile and experienced racer that he is, he'll be picking up any pieces if any tears are to be had up ahead of him.
Let's actually go on board here with Chris Frommelt, the car who's watching it from the back of this battle pack as they stream down into the hairpin. Swerving a little bit side by side and now hard on the brakes. And he's going for a move against Vittoris. Oh, almost gets into the back of Shu there in the braking, but Vittoris is coming back, and now they're side by side once again. Vittoris takes the position from Shu up into 7th place.
Very nice indeed, although Chris Frommelt was very close there to taking out 2 drivers. He was lucky that they were making it.
Contact in the background there between the 2 green cars, the dark green cars, and Vittoris under pressure. He gets tapped. Oh, and he's got sent out of the track there. A little tap is enough, and Christian Vittoris drops back to the back of the field after such a promising start.
He cut a little bit across Tinshin there. It was just a bit too close for comfort. Certainly very comfortable, though, is Tim Hyneman. Though fair play has to be given to Danny Flommelt, who's not really... He's not really been dropped fully. He's only just gone to about 2 seconds off our race leader.
And we've got to fight for third position. We've got to fight for the final position on the podium because Mark Prinsing is just ahead of Marcel Torno.
It has been a wonderful start from Torno so far. Going a little bit wide, though. A shame for Gemeinhardt, certainly. We would have been expecting him up in this battle. But for now, it is the two new boys to the AMG eRacing scene who are scrapping it out. We've still got 16 minutes to go, by the way, so any racing, any spins, it does not mean that it is all over them by any stretch of the imagination. Torno will probably want to get this move done sooner rather than later, however, and he's got a great opportunity in the slipstream of the Parabolica.
Look at the slipstream, look how close he's coming, but he has to go around the outside and it happens. So this move could work, but I'm not sure if it will in this case. Bit of contact on the outside, but that's just smart defending by Prinsing. Oh, Torno over the red area there. Might pick up a slowdown if he takes too much speed when he goes outside of the track.
He's taking the Vettel line there. And into the Mercedes arena we go then. Oh, he's got a really nice bit of overspeed, and he's straight through as well. That was a lovely move from Marcel Torno.
Fantastic move up onto the final podium position here. Great job by him, but it's not over yet.
Could come back as we head into Mobile 1, turn 14 here.
Oh, he has to correct the steering there. He was very loose on the entry.
Left-hander of Sark's curve, although he slightly breaks a little late. Although actually in this corner, Rob, you can get away with that slightly.
Yeah.
Final sector now through turn 15, taking a tighter line than Torno ahead of it. We're going a little further off the circuit through the Super curve now. Turn 16, the final turn on the circuit, and still going wide. It looks like Prinsing is suffering with a lot of understeer on that car.
Yeah, and this could be the opportunity that Torno needs because he needs to break the slipstream. Otherwise, if they are in the second sector, the gap will be closed immediately once again. But it seems to have calmed down a little bit. We will see now on the onboard from Marcel Torno looking from the...
Oh,
Torno!
Well, the curbing's there for a reason, Rob. I wasn't expecting him to go freestyling over it.
And it can happen so quickly. Just one mistake and you lose your podium position once again.
And all of that. He's further away than where he was a lap or two ago. He's got all of that time to make up now as Prinsing re-inherits P3. Behind you've still got Gemeinhardt, who's kind of in a world of his own. And then you've got the battle behind, which is still relatively close between Rinke, Schu, Chris Frommelt, Christian Vittoris a little bit further back though, and going on board with this. This is the battle to be with, isn't it? Tintin Schu looking to make his way past Andreas Rinke again. It's super close, but I like his driving style, I like his optimism.
Oh, and there's a little mistake by Rinke. I thought, looked like he locked up, but he still makes the corner pretty fine. But Schu, he's really fighting for it here, even if it's only for the 6th position, but he's still giving everything to take the position away from Andreas Rinke.
It's always a case of being aware of all your surroundings though, Robin. Perhaps the surroundings which this particular viewpoint isn't giving off quite well enough is that you've got Chris Frommelt right behind him. So any mistake on Schu's front when he's trying to overtake Rinke is going to be punished massively.
And now we can see it from the back of Rinke's car, that you can actually see both of the green cars trying to follow him here. And I mean, we've still got over half of the race distance to go.
It's going to be a long one.
Yeah.
But for a lot of these drivers, it's going to be an exciting time as well, one that they might not want to end as soon as possible, because it's one thing to drive in your room, Rob. It's a completely different thing to qualify for an event of this scale out in the open with plenty of the best drivers available.
Yeah, and Tintin Schu, he really likes his late braking points. You can see it there once again, but he loses a lot of time on the exit in comparison. So now he's out of the slipstream, really. He's not really gaining the time that he needs to gain in order to pressure Andreas Rinke here.
It's still roughly about 1 to 2 seconds that you need to be within to pick up any sort of slipstreaming. And
he picked up a little bit there.
Yeah, you can see there that he's definitely caught up. But he's got to cut out these mistakes of braking too late. I mean, that's all fair and well when you're trying to overtake someone, but when you're trying to follow someone, that's the worst possible thing you could do.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see if he can actually get back into the slipstream. But he's looking pretty fast. He's just making a couple of mistakes on the braking here and there. But in general, certainly looks like he could take the position away from Andreas Rinke as the race progresses.
You know what Jules reminding me of is he's reminding me of a hot lapper, which, to be fair, that's exactly what you need it to be to qualify for this event. But it's one thing being fast in a car, but it's another thing driving against other cars and maintaining that speed.
But I think we will see now when he enters the battle how well he can place his move, because I will not put it past him. The way he can brake, how late he's on the brakes, that he could actually pull off a great overtaking move there against Rinke, who's a little bit out of shape coming through the final 2 corners.
I forget, where did Rinke pre-qualify? Wasn't he in the top 3? I seem to remember.
I think he might have been.
Because I think it was Rinke and Gemeinhardt who were...
I think it was Torno in second. Hyneman, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Hyneman, of course, won the pre-qualifying as well. He's completely dominating this race. We're not showing him a lot, but that's because we can see more exciting racing in the midfield, because Rinke now certainly does not have a large gap compared to Shu.
Yeah, move over Hyneman and Keith. I think we've got our rivalry for this race, and it's just as exciting. It's been bubbling for a good 5 minutes, this battle. Shu's already been past Rinke, we forget, but it was that mistake earlier on which saw him fall down the order. It allowed Vitoris into that battle as well. And still nothing doing into the hairpin there, Christian Vitoris. This is a real shame, isn't it? It was that
it
one
so
little
good.
bit
It
of
looked
contact
so promising in the
with Shu.
beginning, and then he just lost a lot of time. So we will see if he can actually make up the time once again.
It's the heat. It's the heat. Yeah. We've already established this. So we're over halfway through this race now. 9 minutes, 50 left on the clock. It's Tim Hyneman still leading from Danny Frommel, and Prinzing rounding out the podium places. The battle which has been the most exciting in the last 5, though, has been this one.
Oh, and a mistake by Rinke, and that could give Shu the position. And I think he's taking contact on the exit.
That's like putting a fridge on the exit of a corner, what he's done there. But it's worked as well. He saw the mistake ahead of him, he pounced, and now he's made it stick as well. And going back to that point about the Sachs curve, you can go in a little bit deep and recover it, but if you've got someone right behind you, you're not going to have the opportunity, because someone like Shu is going to pounce on it.
And now, just like I predicted, Tinshin Shu, he has regained the 6th position. And let's see if he can maybe do something to the car ahead of him, because even though he was battling, he did not lose a lot of ground compared to Sascha Gemeinhardt. Bit of a mistake by Rinke there under braking, and that also breaks the slipstream once again, so Shu should be safe in the position, and we have a little bit of time to take a look at our race leader, Tim Hyneman.
What is there left to say about him, Rob? 2 times champion, now 7 times pole sitter. He's taken 2 podiums in his career, but he's also taken 5 wins. As the minutes trickle away, it's looking more and more likely that he's not only going to be taking his 6th, Rob, but also one of his most important.
Yeah, and he's so far been undefeated at any Mercedes-AMG eRacing live event.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty impressive performance once again. But I also want to point out this guy here, Daniel Frommel. He's a driver who's racing a lot in the community races on RaceRoom. Of course, the game that you see here, it's not real cars if you're watching online. It's a racing simulation, RaceRoom, and he's driving in the Abgefahren community. He's a community racer, and it's his first event on the big stage. And he's performing exceptionally well in this event.
I mean, listen, you could easily underestimate how big a step this is, because a lot of the smaller community guys, or as I like to call them, grassroots leagues players, they tend to take the step up to the top tiers, such as the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition, and then they'll go into a LAN event. In this particular case, he's gone from grassroots to offline, which, I mean, I'm so impressed with him, and he is only 4 seconds, 5 seconds off Tim Hyneman in RaceRoom. Of course, we could say, is Tim Hyneman potentially sandbagging a little? Is he just comfortable and driving? I would take a lot of pride in myself if I was from Elton. I'd be thinking, why not try and qualify for this competition?
And we just went in to have a look here on Tinshin Su, and he just went a little bit sideways under braking, so I just held my breath for a moment. Sascha Gemeinhardt, he must have been off there.
He must have been off down at turn 2, because the only man who's not overtaken him is Christian Vittoris.
Or maybe he picked up a slowdown penalty in the first corner and he had to wait to give the time back that he gained. That can happen if you run wide here. But now he's actually under pressure by Vittoris. So Vittoris might have a race for the last 6 minutes.
I hope he does. I hope he does. It'd be great to see more of Christian in battle, although he goes a little bit deep there. And the hairpin allowing Sasha to scurry away. But Bashu then up to 5th.
Yeah. I think a podium, that's, you know, the gap might be a little bit too big unless they make a mistake, and that can really happen easily in the heat here. And you can hear Vittoris locking up the brakes a little bit, very hard over the curb there as well. Certainly pushing very hard in this car.
You say that the cars aren't real. I would say that the racing most certainly is, and you can hear as well just how accurate games and especially RaceRoom is in comparison to real life. You are going to have those tyre lockups. You are going to have a car that's not going to cooperate with you if you don't drive it properly.
Yeah, that's true. And I think Christian Vittoris, he's also used to the modern DTM cars, and there we can see Gemeinhardt in the foreground, just almost losing it on the exit of the Sachs Kurve. So Gemeinhardt certainly pushing very hard, and let's see if he can actually find the time at the end of this race session to make up the time, close down the gap to Chris Frommelt, who's currently in 7th position.
Yeah, we've just got just over 30 seconds before we hit the 75% mark of this race. And it's all quietened down just a little bit. But for Chris Frommelt, who remember was dead last at one point, he's got Rinke ahead in his sights.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he would like to pull off one more overtake before the race ends.
And the story about Chris Frommelt is, first of all, Daniel is his brother in 2nd place, and also he only qualified today for the race. So if you're in the museum here right now and you saw the simulators there up on the 1st floor, he was the fastest driver of the day, so he earned his place in this race for sure.
To be fair, as a wildcard driver, not finishing last is probably going to be your #1 objective. And he's not only doing that, but he's beating that position by 1. And so back up to the front then, Tim Hyneman has pulled out to 8 seconds clear of Danny Frommelt. And to be fair, I guess you could say it was kind of expected, but I think a lot of people should be very excited by the future if we're seeing how good, how much on form Tim is at the moment. Looking at him in league play is going to be a fascinating prospect.
Well, I mean, he doesn't even have to
Well,
drive
he doesn't
anymore.
have to drive anymore, yeah.
He secures his place in the final, and then he has all the chances to secure his 3rd championship. But of course, in the final, opposition will be tough again. And maybe we will see someone like Daniel Frommelt actually in the online competition as well, because he's showing a lot of promise in this race. Looking at this race, though, the gaps, they seem pretty much settled at the moment. The closest gap, actually, that's here, this driver, Tin Shin Su, and he's caught up. He's caught up, and he just went past Marcel Torno, who must have made a mistake. They're coming out of the 1st corner.
That looked like a slowdown penalty to me, Rob.
Let's just go on board if we can maybe hear if he's got a technical problem, maybe. It doesn't sound like it. It's revving up, so he must have picked up a slowdown. He must have driven a little bit too wide on the exit.
I reckon happened? I reckon he went wide at the super curve, and then he was picking up the penalty round there, around turn 1, of which Tin Shin Su has been able to take full advantage. He's now up into 4th, and it goes to show, now that he's calmed down, and now that he's gotten past Rinke, he's not only been able to fly away with his natural pace, but he's picked up on other people making mistakes, and that is something which Torno, he's had 2 massive ones now that have lost him 2 positions.
Yeah, we didn't think that Su might have a chance at the podium, but if just one car ahead of him makes a mistake, and he's on the podium. And I think Hyneman must have made a mistake because the gap's down to 6 seconds at the front.
Still comfortable.
Yeah, he can afford to make a little mistake there.
But tell you what, the good news for Torno at least is that it's not like that previous incident where Prinzing was right behind him when he made it, flew past, no chance of catching back up into the slipstream. Su's still right there, and so Torno is still very much in with the chance of taking P5.
Oh, and Torno's closing up here in the final sector, so this is not over yet for sure. 2 minutes left in this race session, and Su, he really has to fight hard for his 4th position. The 4th position that he probably did not expect after the start of the race. Oh, he goes over the curb and just about keeps it on the track. But this is a perfect opportunity for Torno now. He's going for the inside shoes, closing the door. He's closing to the other side. that was a little bit dangerous, but now the door is open for Torno, and Stu doesn't really defend in this corner here. But he goes around the outside. Oh, Torno cuts him off, and Torno goes to the grass. Who just about keeps the car there on the road, but I think this is over now. The battle for the 4th position, and it's Stu who's securing the 4th place in this race.
The defending there was robust. I think that's as that's as nice as I can put it. There is still rules to adhere to. You get one move, you can move across, but not onto the racing line afterwards. I think that might have been slightly glazed over by Stu. Importantly for him, at least, is on track he's been able to maintain the position, and Torno going onto the grass has kind of completely eliminated any chance of that battling continuing.
Let's see where Tim Hyneman actually is in terms of track position.
One more lap.
Yeah, so he's going to cross the line, and then it's one more lap for all of the drivers. And yeah, Tim Hyneman looking comfortable as ever in the Mercedes-AMG Motorsport eRacing competition. But look at this. Christian Vitores has caught up to Chris Frommelt, and actually Sascha Gemeinhardt has gained a position. Once again, Sascha Gemeinhardt back into 7th place, and Vitores, he might take a position here on the final lap.
He's got one to do it, hasn't he? And so he will know the best positions on this track. He has raced around it plenty of times before. And so really, you'd have to say, Rob, that it all begins once we come through the Parabolica again.
Well, let's see, we could see the battle in the second corner before with Stu, so maybe there's an opportunity as well, but it all depends how they go through this corner. I think Vitores is going a lot better through the corner. Oh, but he might have picked up a slowdown penalty there because he was going so wide on the exit.
I think he nailed it, actually, to be honest. You can see the speed is still gaining, and he's on the outside of turn 2 now as well. Difficult to overtake around there, but it does mean that he is set up very nicely indeed for a slipstream run through the Parabolica and into the hairpin.
Let's see, he dropped back a little bit, so maybe it was just just a small penalty for him. Looking further at the front, Torno and Rinke is also a very close battle. We just wait here for the Parabolica, and then we jump to Torno and Rinke. He must be side by side. Actually, we're going to have a look then now, because Torno is just about ahead of Andreas Rinke.
He's fallen away massively from Stu now, hasn't he? And Rinke with a chance to take this, although I think we need to look at Tim Hyneman as well, because I'm sure he's going to be coming around the final couple of corners now, Rob.
Let's just check with Hyneman here.
Yep, indeed he is. And so, round turn 15 and 16, he will come to pick up his 6th win in the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition's history. He secures a place in the live final of the Hockenheim Ring for Season 3. It's Tim Hyneman who takes the win here at the virtual Hockenheim Ring live in Stuttgart. An impervious performance from the German. Behind him is going to be Danny Frommelt, who takes P2. And Prinsing will be picking up the final place on the podium. Looking now at Marcel Torno in P5. It's going to be Stu actually taking home P4. Torno just about holds on to P5 with Rinke P6. And has Vitores taken Frommelt in turn 15? I think he has. Oh, and Chris Frommelt, I feel so bad for the guy. He didn't want to finish last, but unfortunately, such in the way of racing, Rob, the worst sometimes happen. And Christian Vitores, despite the heat, he manages to finish in 8th position.
Yeah, but a fantastic race once again, and congratulations to Tim Hyneman in these very hot conditions here in Stuttgart. He takes home the victory, and he secures his place. I mean, it's provisional, of course. There might be some reports against him, but I don't think I've seen him near any other car in the race.
He didn't have a single battle that entire race, Rob. I don't think you can report him for that.
So great performance by him, and we're just waiting for the results here to appear on the screen. Just waiting for the cars to finish the lap, go back into the pits, and then we will have the interviews as well with Tim Hyneman and with one more driver. So yeah, but what a performance by Tim Hyneman. But also respect to Daniel Frommelt and to Mark Prinsing from BP Gaming, who didn't even show that much in this race. But he did a great performance, and he finished on the podium.
Absolutely. I hope to see them in future league rounds, certainly. Just a quick question on Tim Hyneman then. Do you leave it for the rest of the season, or do you keep up the form? Because it's a long wait, actually, until the live final.
Yeah, we will see. And I think we'll actually see him once again in the online races just in preparation. So, but maybe we can hear now what he has to say, and maybe we should give the word back to Chrissy, who's going to do an interview with Tim.
Yes, Tim Hyneman, congrats. Perfect, a perfect deal you did. Perfect. What was the most challenging moment for you in this race?
The most challenging moment was, of course, the weather, because it's very hot here today. So it was really hard to keep concentrated and get every apex of the corner as perfect as possible. And yeah, but I believe I managed it pretty well. And yeah, hope that you had a nice show.
Yeah, it seems like you managed it pretty well. You got your ticket for the final on the Hockenheim Ring in October. You are the winner of 2017, 2016 also.
Yeah,
It's embarrassing. What do you think?
no, it is not. It's really hard work, and yeah, of course, it pays out a few times. And I hope that this year I have a challenge to the win another time.
How much do you practice?
It's hard to say. Maybe 2 hours a week, maybe 20 hours a week. It's depending on which competition is next on the calendar. So it's pretty hard to say a correct number.
What are you doing in normal life?
I'm a trainee as an industrial clerk at KW Suspensions. So yeah, my main job is to produce suspensions for real cars, and yeah, of course, also to test it and to drive real cars as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the passion comes from. Tim Hyneman, the winner of 2018 Museum Special. Congratulations for you, and I think we go to another driver. Just follow me. We go to Tin Shin Shu. What a perfect race you did. You did it perfect. Yeah.
But it's a bit chaotic at the start, and there's so many cars passing by, and I didn't really do that well in the qualifying. So yeah, it's really tough trying getting back to places. It's really surprising that I managed to get back to so many places in the process.
So you did the qualifying during the 6 week. You had to use the simulators in the museum, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a bit long time ago. So you have to get practice a bit, winning back all these muscle memories, so to say. Yeah.
What's next for you?
I don't know. So I'm just a normal student, and playing this it's just a normal hobby. So I really hope that. Yeah, I guess I would just live on with my normal life, I would say.
So what's your normal life? Where do you come from?
Yeah, so I come from Taiwan. Yes, and I'm so glad actually RaceRoom is pretty much the only game in the world I actually see my national flag. So I'm very glad for that, yes.
Nice. Great to have you here. Thank you. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
So, perfect. I think we can get back to the commentators. Robert and James, get back to you. Thank you.
It's such a wholesome interview. I absolutely love that. And it just goes to show as well that even if you don't finish on the podium necessarily, there's still pride to be had in not just your performance, but also who you are and the regular lives that you lead.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, for almost all of the drivers, sim racing or e-racing at the moment, it's still a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby that they take very seriously, where they travel throughout whole Germany or maybe, throughout the whole world to come to these events to participate. And I hope we will see it grow. And if you want to see more of the Mercedes-AMG e-racing competition, you should tune in on the next Sunday. If you're living in Germany, it's 4 o'clock. I think it's 2 at the UTC. So you can calculate where it is in your time zone. And then you see the next race, the next online race from Zandvoort, where we will race with the CLK from 2003. So a completely different car, a lot more downforce, completely different era of racing, more coming closer to the modern era of DTM, because of course Mercedes is celebrating 30 years of DTM this year. And yeah, if you're interested, if you're looking for more, you should tune in. Otherwise, you should also compete online in the Mercedes-AMG e-racing competition. You can try to qualify for the events, or you can see how far you're off the times of someone like Tim Hyneman. So, and with that, James, I have got nothing more to say.
Well, I'm actually also going to add that if you're thinking, oh, wait, hold on, I've missed out on rounds this season already, just go to the Mercedes-Benz YouTube page, or indeed the Facebook page. All of the replay broadcasts are there for your viewing pleasure, not just from this season, but from last season as well, and indeed the first season, the one-round live event. It's a wonderful competition to be a part of. It's brilliant to be with it in my personally my second year, and we hope to see all of you in whatever category you're going to be joining us in, whether it's as spectator or driver or just someone who's interested in picking up the stats. We hope to see you in the future. I think I'm going to take a shower. It's absolutely boiling. There's been scorching action on track. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you very much to Chrissy. Thank you very much to the drivers. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here live in Stuttgart, it is a very, very warm goodbye.